Welcome to Financially Speaking. I'm Sean Latter. Now, there's little doubt that our lives today have become more pressurised, and stress seems to be a normal part of our working day. However, this frenetic lifestyle has led to an increased prevalence of severe illnesses. Of course, medical technology has advanced to such a degree that the likelihood of survival has increased dramatically. But at what cost? In this edition of the show, we take a closer look at critical illness cover and how to make sure you're protecting your financial health from a similar disaster. And joining me in studio to take us through the ins and outs of critical illness cover are Raylan Dunbar, Financial Advisor at FinLogic, Dr. Dominique Stott, Business Development Executive at PPS, and Craig Scher, Deputy General Manager of Discovery Life. Good evening and welcome. Before we jump into our discussion though, let's take a look at a viewer's question for this week. It comes from Seelan in Middle-Rand, and he asks, severe illness, trauma cover and critical illness cover, what is the difference? Now, I know that there's a number of other terms we could probably add to the list on that, and living assurance, dread disease. In essence, we're looking at the same thing, aren't we? Craig?
Yeah, I think Sean, I think you're right. They typically are called by different names within different companies. A lot of the time, it's just sort of the marketing of the different company and what they're trying to put out in the benefit. Trauma may be a little bit different because often that refers to things like in a car accident, those type of cover. But generally, critical illness, dread disease, all the same sort of thing. Paying out a payout if you get sort of this a condition, a medical condition that actually causes the disease.
Okay, now, I mean, certainly we've spoken about medical conditions, and we'll look a little bit deeper in it just now, because this is certainly an area where there's been a lot of uncertainty because people generally don't understand medical terms. Raylan, what is critical illness designed to really cover?
It's really designed to assess any major illnesses that a person may suffer from. Now, those dreaded diseases that we basically call them is things like heart attacks, strokes, cancer, having to have a bypass. Those are normally the big key areas of where people need that sort of cover. But it can also extend into other areas like complete blindness or deafness, which could technically touch on a part of disability benefits as well. But what this benefit does is it replaces, and it basically is there for a person in the terms of their income, and it helps them to make choices to actually affect their lifestyle. I mean, if, for example, a person has had a very severe heart attack and now cannot work at the same level that they were before, by getting a capital amount paid out to them as a tax-free benefit, this could really put them in a position financially that they don't have to necessarily work the same amount of hours. They have a capital amount which they could invest, possibly get a holiday home where they can take holidays for longer periods of time, or even be in a situation where they invest that money to actually supplement their income that they might not be earning going forward.
There's two areas there that I certainly picked up on. The one was really from a lifestyle point of view, and the second one was about the ability to earn an income or lack thereof. Dominic, from your point of view, where does the overlap, and how do we deal with the overlap between disability income and something like critical illness?
Well, critical illness was designed originally to replace a lifestyle, as Raylan has just said. And one would hope that a disability benefit does the same thing to a certain extent. But the problem with a disability benefit is that you are assessed according to whether you can perform your occupation. And a dread disease benefit or a critical illness benefit relies only on certain criteria being met. Those are the definitions which are set out in the policy document when a client buys that particular policy. And provided those criteria are met, then the benefit is paid out.
So this is more about potentially how it impacts your lifestyle, as opposed to how it really impacts on your income.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing I just wanted to pick up with you on as well is that from a doctor or medical perspective, our lifestyles have changed. How has that played out with regards to people experiencing the type of severe illnesses that we have today?
You know, there are so many things that impact negatively on our health, from the kind of lifestyle that we all lead. The frenetic running around, the stress we all undergo, the poor eating, the lack of exercise. you only have to pick up any magazine, not even a medical magazine, to read an article about how you should look after yourself. So this has impacted on dread disease claims. Certainly with the big four, what we call the big four in the industry, which is the strokes, the heart disease, which includes the heart attacks and the bypasses, and then cancer. There is such a significant proportion of those which are caused by poor lifestyle that it's no wonder the claims have risen significantly in the last 15 or 20 years.
Craig, from your point of view, I mean, a lot of the things, and we spoke about the big four now, a lot of those are seen as more of an old age illness. Is this still true today?
No, I think from our side, we actually see a lot of claims, specifically in dread disease, that are happening at a lot of them are happening at the older ages, as you said, but we actually see them happening throughout a client's life. Typically, the things like heart attacks, cancer, and stroke, they are typically towards the latter ages, but at the younger ages, often we're seeing the other dread diseases coming through, the other things that are covered besides these big four, that musculoskeletal, those sort of benefits and those sort of payouts are often the ones that are quite prevalent at the younger ages as well.
So outside of those big four, Raylan, from your point of view, what are the big ticket items that we don't have in that big four?
Well, there's a lot of things. As already Craig has mentioned, things like musculoskeletal diseases, things like renal failure. I mean, a person, for example, that might be in a situation that they've had an accident and they are paraplegic, for example. Generally, 20% of the time, that will lead to a chronic kidney failure. Now, with that kidney failure comes ongoing treatment that a person would have to be able to endure, such as dialysis or whatever treatment the doctors actually would recommend. So there really is a huge amount of other areas that people don't realize are actually being covered by the actual severe illness benefits. And it's important for people to look through their policy documents, make sure that they're covering the entire body system and not just certain illnesses, because that is when they really come up short with certain benefits.